तो क्या जरूरी है इंतजार करें? क्या जरूरी है इंतजार करें? चलो किसी और से प्यार करें। Now I request my junior, Dr. Saluma Kaur, to present her talk. She will be speaking on non-diabetic kidney disease in diabetes case-based presentation. And I request my teacher, Dr. Pranesh Nigam, and Dr. Rajan Prasad Srivastava to chair the session.
And was thankfully committee to have invited me to talk on non-diabetic disease in diabetes. The flow of discussion would follow the following days: the introduction, epidemiology and clinical presentation of non-diabetic disease, various case presentations depicting non-diabetic disease, and our experience and management of the same. We as physicians almost have problems while dealing with diabetes and post-patient nephropathy in the form of proteinuria or renal failure. Indeed, it is essentially very important to make a diagnosis of non-diabetic kidney disease in patients with diabetes, and a high index suspicion is the key to diagnosis in the patients with this presentation. Essentially speaking, before I talk about non-diabetic kidney disease, we must understand that diabetic nephropathy is the most important cause of end-stage renal disease in patients on dialysis, and we call it mortality with cardiovascular. Essentially speaking, when the patient presents to us with diabetes and renal failure, we must take into consideration whether this is a diabetic kidney disease or a non-diabetic etiology based on history and examination. Essentially speaking, the patient can present with acute disease, acute renal failure, rapidly progressive renal failure, or acute or chronic kidney disease. Essentially speaking, here as physicians must take a detailed history of type of diabetes and the presence of hypertension. To control hypertension and diabetes, any history of micro and macrovascular complications, history of evolution of renal failure is essentially very important, and the degree of proteinuria and its progression. The use of ACE therapies, which can result in decline in renal functions, must be assessed while using the same. Essentially speaking, diabetic nephropathy is characterized by the presence of albuminuria more than 50 to 300 in the microalbumic stage and a whole proteinuria of more than 300 milligrams. Essentially speaking, when we see this patient with diabetic nephropathy, the diagnosis is usually made on a clinical background. However, the definition is histological pathological term, and this is defined by the presence of more than 300 milligrams of 24-hour protein in the absence of any infection on two separate occasions 3 to 6 months apart. Essentially speaking, the presence of diabetic retinopathy, which is eventually present in all the patients with type 1 diabetes when they present with albuminuria, but in about 70 to 80% of type 2 diabetics will have retinopathy at the time of diagnosis of nephropathy. Essentially speaking, it is very important to understand that we do not biopsy a patient with diabetic nephropathy. It is usually made on the clinical diagnosis. Ascertaining is essentially important annually. In type 1, it is usually done after almost 5 years down the line of detection of type 1. However, in type 2, because almost 40% of patients will have some form of micro or macroalbuminuria at the time of presentation, should be screened from the time of diagnosis. The rate of progression is essentially very important because the progression is variable, and there are various cofactors which can progress the disease into a overt pathology. This is the natural history of diabetic nephropathy. But essentially speaking, when we see these patients on a quarterly basis or when we see the patient on clinical practice, are we really overlooking the problem of non-diabetic kidney disease. Non-diabetic kidney disease is present almost in 20% of patients and also in the type 2 diabetics. The spectrum can vary from a interstitial pathology to a glomerulology to a vascular pathology. Essentially speaking, we must take the history in detail. That is, in type 1 diabetes, if the history of duration of diabetes is less than 10 years with no evidence of retinopathy, a progression of nephropathy without progression through the later stages from micro to macroalbuminuria, macroscopic hematuria, and red cell cast mandates a renal biopsy. Essentially speaking, an atypical evolution, present factors sediments, rapid progression to the renal function deterioration, and anemia out of proportion renal failure mandates to think of a possibility of non-diabetic. Essentially, even if the patient has concomitant retinopathy, but if the progression is atypical, besides that we have active sediments and elevated oxygen creatinine without renal abnormality, definitely requires a biopsy. All these markers which we find in them are essentially not absolute, and therefore a combination will be essentially important to make a diagnosis of non-diabetic kidney disease, and kidney biopsy may be depend on case-to-case basis. The spectrum-wide biopsy a patient you may find could be a purely diabetic kidney disease or a non-diabetic kidney disease or a combination of the two. So I would like your kind attention on the case presentation which I would like to show, where we were trying to look into diabetes patient with non-diabetic kidney disease. Case 1. He was a 44-year-old male patient who was a diabetic for 6 years. OHA, non-OHA, poorly controlled, hypertension, poorly controlled. He was already diagnosed to have chronic kidney disease. Essentially, it was a diabetic kidney disease 4 months back, and he had creatinine of 1.6. What happened suddenly? In 2 months' time, he became breathless, he had some edema worsening, and decrease in appetite. We had obviously no huge factors for cause of deterioration of renal functions. He had proliferative retinopathy in the diabetic fundus. What we could see that if you we have see the renal function was decreasing on a very rapid pace, and we had active sediments in the urine. So, what was the diagnosis we were looking into? Probably it was a rapid progression of the diabetic kidney disease, or we were having a diabetic kidney disease superimposed on non-diabetic etiology, whether it was a rapidly progressive glomer disease or an interstitial nephritis. On the basis of the decline in the GFR, inconsistent with the natural course of diabetic nephropathy, we did a renal biopsy. But it was not surprising, we found segmental global diffuse nodular sclerosis, and this is consistent with the diagnosis of diabetic nephropathy. Essentially speaking, if you would see the course of progression of the disease, it was progressing on a very rapid rate. We must understand, besides the normal progression of diabetic nephropathy, other cofactors, inside these cofactors should be taken into consideration when you see these patients. Case 2, a 55-year-old male was a diabetic for 6 years, OHA on OHA, good control. It was non-hypertensive. What happened suddenly? He started having fever for 20 days, drop in output, and then he presented with advanced renal failure. He had no history of any other co-resuscitation. He had no retinopathy. Essentially, only we were dealing with acute kidney disease and diabetes was coexistent. Well, when we saw his labs, we would see essentially that he had significant anemia. His progression of renal disease was very rapid. He had hypercalcemia, hyperuricemia, and this compared to urine to protein creatinine ratio. So, what were we dealing with? We were probably dealing with some etiology which was presented with anemia, hypercalcemia, and of course hyperuricemia, which is compared to urine to protein ratio. So, we planned to do a bone marrow biopsy and a secondary kidney biopsy. To our surprise, we found the bone marrow had proliferative plasma cells in the bone marrow, which were atypical. He had CM lymphocytes, which was positive, and immunofixation showed a gamma kappa chain. Kidney biopsy, we see there was thickening of the capillary donor cavity vascular membrane, which is suggestive to a unlike diabetic kidney disease. Essentially, he had interstitial changes of focal fibers and predominantly whole lymphocytes in the interstitial. So, he had chronic interstitial nephritis with early diabetic nephropathy. So, this patient was a type 2 diabetic, dialysis dependent, and a chronic interstitial nephritis secondary to multiple myeloma with early diabetic nephropathy. We treated with waterfluid and dexamethasone, and he is still on maintenance hemodialysis. Here, I would like to put a important thing here to highlight. The multiple palmar renal failure, what is common between the two? The presentation, like anorexia, weight level, non-specific complaints, essentially common in both the situations. They can have anemia, they can have bone pain, they can have hypercalcemia, hyperuricemia, and hyperglycemia. So essentially, a clinical suspicion is essentially very important. Myeloma can have various presentation, ranging from a glomerular etiology in the form of amyloid or critical class nephropathy in the twins. I need a kind consideration here that a patient with myeloma with renal failure or chronic kidney disease without myeloma, we must look into following things here. Anemia is disproportionately high in myeloma with renal failure. We may have hypercalcemia, fractures in bone veins or liver injury, and the discrepant urine protein ratio. The alpha is normal here, PTG is usually normal, and the ESR is same. These are telltale markers to look for a non-diabetic kidney disease in a patient where we are suspecting a myeloma. Case 3, a 58-year-old female who had presented with anorexia, nausea and vomitings and some drop in for 7 days. What happened? We were dealing with diabetes with anemia and advanced renal failure. She didn't give any history of any erythematous illness in the past, and there was no suggested history of peripheral neuropathy. She had no retinopathy. But essentially, when we saw her labs, she was anemic. She had a creatinine of 5.4, and she had an interstitial pathology in the view of proteinuria which was there. So probably we were dealing with a diabetes with tubulointerstitial disease. Since she was in the 5th decade of life with severe anemia and disproportionate failure, we biopsied her, a bone marrow showed atypical cells, and the kidney biopsy was done to rule out the class nephropathy underlying multiple myeloma. You would be surprised in this situation that this patient, despite having class in the review, you can appreciate here, the glomerulus did show that diffuse nodular glomerulosclerosis in the biopsy. Essentially speaking, this was a myeloma past nephropathy along with coexistent diabetic nephropathy. We treated the patient with thalidomide and dexamethasone and plasmapheresis. Her renal function set down, she became dialysis independent, but however, we lost to her to follow. What is important to understand, the patient who presents with class nephropathy, the constitutional symptoms may be present, but the precipitation of renal failure is evident, and the degree of renal failure, which is total anemia, is the presentation to make a diagnosis of class nephropathy. Case 4 is a 50 years old male, diabetic for 4 years, on OHA, severe abdominal pain and rashes for time of presentation, and drop in urinary. We, as you can appreciate, there were some rashes which were appreciable on the lower limbs. We investigated the patient thoroughly. He had presented with advanced renal failure. His anti-ANA was negative. His biomarkers were negative. He had proteinuria and some placental syndrome. Considering this possibility that we had a pathologic coagula, normal complements the ANA and rapid progressive renal failure, we biopsied her and it was possible to flush polyproteinuria. Although this is rare in this age group. When we did a skin biopsy, we had a mild perivascular inflammation in the numbness, and the kidney biopsy showed focal proliferative GN with IgA deposits. So, we were dealing with patient who had flush polyproteinuria in form of rashes, pain and renal failure with IgA deposit in the biopsy. We treated the patient with 3 sessions of hemodialysis, and she was put on oral prednisolone. To much of a surprise, she had last follow-up showed a renal function which was absolutely normal, and she had trace proteinuria in her renal. Case 5 is very difficult. She was 14 years old female, a diabetic for 10 years who had presented with some edema and decreased urine. She had no associated complaint of collateral rashes or arthralgia. She had no retinopathy. This is definitely unusual for a diabetic female child who is down the line 10 years diabetic and no retinopathy. So we must look for a non-diabetic etiology. We found that she had anemia, she had renal failure, and ANA and complements were all negative. She had active sediments in the urine. This mandated us to think for renal biopsy, thinking of possibility of post-infectious GN, MPGN, or lupus nephritis in her. To much of a surprise, she had proliferative changes in the biopsy with C1 deposit in the post-granular deposit.